Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Podcast. Today is Thursday, May 30th, 2019. A lot to get to today. Stanley Cup Final, NBA Finals, Game 1, with a pick for the series as well, although I gave out my pick on the podcast I did yesterday, Josh Eberle. Baseball, French Open, mock drafts for baseball and NBA, and my best bet of the day. All right, we'll start with the Stanley Cup Final, where Game 2 took place in Boston between the Blues and the Bruins, and the Blues came out on top 3-2 in overtime to tie this thing up at 1 apiece. This game was 2-2 after the first period. There were no goals until Carl Gunnarsson scored the overtime winner on a delayed penalty. Charlie Coyle got the scoring first, his 7th of the postseason on a power play, went with the Bruins. Robert Bortuzzo's 2nd of the postseason, ties it up at 1 apiece. Jacob Nordstrom's 3rd of the postseason, 2-1 Bruins. Vladimir Tarasenko's 10th of the postseason, 2-2. No goals in the second, no goals in the third, and that was Gunnarsson's 1st of the postseason, assisted by Oscar Sundqvist and Ryan O'Reilly. 3-2 St. Louis is your final. Gunnarsson was the number 1 star of the game with the overtime winner and an assist. Vlad Tarasenko was number 2 star of the game with a goal. Jacob Nordstrom was the number 3 star of the game with a goal. Game 3 in St. Louis is Saturday night, and we'll pick that game on tomorrow's podcast. All right, now we'll switch over to the NBA Finals, where tonight Game 1 will be taking place between the Raptors and the Warriors. It is going to be some series. I'm really looking forward to it. I think that Kawhi Leonard will have his chip on his shoulder because don't forget when he was on the Spurs, Zaza Pachulia, although Pachulia's not on Golden State anymore, he injured Kawhi and that changed that series back when he was with the Spurs. I believe that was in 2017. So I think he'll have a big chip on his shoulder. And like I said, this is going to be a better series than people think. The Raptors have been phenomenal defensively throughout their postseason run, and their offense is hitting big shots in big spots. Kawhi Leonard has been unequivocally the best player in the postseason so far. Danny Green has been in a horrible slump, but he and Leonard both have finals experience from their days with the Spurs. Kyle Lowry openly admitted to having a finger injury, but he's arguably having the best postseason of his career. Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka have both played up to capability on both ends of the floor. Pascal Siakam has been hit or miss in the playoffs, although he has battled an injury in the postseason. Fred VanVleet's reemergence in the Bucks series was key for them pulling off the comeback win in the series. Norman Powell's another guy off the bench that's been hit or miss. Nick Nurse couldn't have had a better first season as an NBA head coach. Meanwhile, the Warriors' backcourt of Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson have been amazing throughout the postseason, especially after Kevin Durant suffered his calf injury. Draymond Green is playing like the guy from 3 years ago and is showing a lot of tenacity on both ends. Durant and DeMarcus Cousins both have a chance to return the series, although Cousins is actually coming back tonight. There are just reports out about a half hour ago. And both the rehabs are going well, especially with Cousins going tonight. His is going very well. Andre Iguodala should be back for Game 1 after his injury. That kept him out for a game. Bench guys like Alfonso McKinney, Kevin Looney, and Jordan Bell have stepped up in the last 2 rounds. Steve Kerr is one of the more underrated coaches in the league, and he doesn't get the respect he deserves for 5 finals and 5 years as an NBA head coach. That said, I expect Durant to be back by Game 4, and Cousins will be back tonight. So the Warriors will be at full strength midway through the series, and I like the Warriors to pull off the league's first three-peat since the Lakers between 2000 and 2002. Prediction: Warriors in 6 games. Finals MVP, Stephen Curry. Although I wouldn't rule out the possibility of this going 7 and the Warriors winning, but Kawhi Leonard getting the MVP in a losing effort. So don't rule that out, guys. All right. And tonight's game, the Raptors are a 1-point favorite. 9 o'clock, ABC, Mike Breen, Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy, Doris Burke on the call. It's going to be a fun game, a fun series, as I mentioned. The Warriors always tend to do well in Game 1s. Meanwhile, the Raptors always struggle in Game 1s. So I'm going to take the Warriors here outright to take a 1-0 series lead in this best-of-7 series. So give me Golden State in a relatively close game. I'm going to say 108-100. I think it will be low scoring for these two teams. Although the Raptors are good defensively And the Warriors are not that bad defensively, especially that Draymond Green's playing up to capability. So I like Golden State by 8 points, 108-100. Now I'll move on to baseball. I'm just going to go through the scores and then go over today's games because today's games are about to go underway. Pirates over the Reds 7-2. Yanks over the Padres 7-0. Angels over the A's 12-7 and 11. Rangers over the Mariners 8-7. Indians over the Red Sox 14-9. Phillies over the Cardinals 11-4. Rays over the Jays 4-3 and 11. This ended on a walk-off double by Willie Adames, or really a long single. He was at second base celebrating, so that's made me think double. Marlins over the Giants 4-2. Nats over the Braves 14-4. Cubs over the Astros 2-1. The big story of that game was the fan that got injured as Alberto Mora hit a foul ball into the stands, and luckily that fan, there was positive reports after the game that she was doing okay. So prayers out to her and her family. White Sox over the Royals 8-7. Rocks over the Diamondbacks 5-4, and the Dodgers over the Mets 9-8 on a walk-off sac fly by Alex Verdugo as the Mets bullpen blows an 8-3 lead. All right, today's games, you have the Cardinals and the Phillies at 1 o'clock. Dakota Hudson and Jared Eichhoff. Giants Marlins. Tyler Beede and Sandy Alcantara. 3 o'clock, Diamondbacks Rockies. Taylor Clark and Kyle Freeland. 7 o'clock, Red Sox Yankees. Big series in the Bronx. Chris Sale and Jay Happ. Brewers Pirates. Chris Sanderson and Chase Anderson. Twins Rays. Martin Perez and Charlie Morton. 8 o'clock, Royals Rangers. Jacob Junis and Mike Minor. Indians White Sox. Carlos Carrasco and Manny Banuelos. Mets Dodgers at 10 o'clock. Jason Vargas and Heijin Ryu. And Angels Mariners. Felix Pena and Yusei Kikuchi. All right, French Open. We're going to start with the men's. We're going to go over the results from today so far and pick tomorrow's sets. Dominic Thiem defeated Alexander Bublik, and that took 4 sets. An upset in round 2. Pablo Cuevas over 28-seeded Kyle Edmund. That took 3 sets. Another upset in this one. You have Salvador Caruso over 26-seeded Giles Simone. That took 3. Another one, Leonardo Meyer over Diego Schwartzman. That took 4. Alexander Zverev, that's your 5 seed over Mikael Yammer. That took 3. Another upset, you had Antoine Hoang upsetting 23-seeded Fernando Verdasco. Novak Djokovic over Henry Lakinsonen. That took 3. That was an obvious one. Dusan Lajovic, that's your 30-seed over Elliot Bencheret. That took 3. Jan Leonard Struff over Radu Albat. That took 4. Jordan Thompson over Ivo Karlovic. That took 4. 14-seeded Gail Monfils over Adrian Manarino. That took 3. Manarino, my bad. 13-seeded Borna Koric over Lloyd Harris. That took 3. And 18-seeded Roberto Batista Agut over Taylor Fritz. That took 3. Going on right now, you have Juan Martin Del Porto and Yoshihito Nishioka. Karen Kaknavov and Gorgi Barari and Lucas Paola, your 22 seed, and Martin Cluzon. Also, Fabio Fognini That's your 9 seed. And Federico Del Bonis. All right, now we'll pick tomorrow's round 3 matches. Some of them are at 7 o'clock Eastern. Some are at 9. Some are at 9:30. And 2 of them are at 11:30. 7 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow morning, Kei Nishioka and Laszlo Djere. This begins round 3. Give me Kei Nishioka. Pablo Carreno Busta and Benoit Paire. Give me Carreno Busta. Casper Ruud and Roger Federer. We're going to go with Federer. 9 o'clock Eastern. You have one Ignacio Londero and Corentin Moutet. Give me Moutet there. 27-seeded David Goffin and 2-seeded Rafael Nadal. Give me Nadal. Nicholas Mahut and Leonardo Meyer. Give me Meyer. Stefano Tsitsipas, that's your 6th seed, against Filip Krajinovic. Give me Tsitsipas there. That's 11:30 Eastern. And then the Mahut Meyers, 9:30. And then Goffin Nadal's at 9. And then last but not least, at 11:30 Eastern, you have 24-seeded Stan Wawrinka against Grigor Dimitrov. Give me Wawrinka there. Now we're going to switch over to the women's side of things. We're going to go over the matches that finished up this morning, and then we'll pick the start of round 3, which begins tomorrow. Still going on right now, 3-seeded Simona Halep against Magda Linette, as well as 27-seeded Lucia Sarenko against Alexandra Krunic. And then the ones that have gone final, we have a big upset here as Amanda Anisimova upsets 11-seeded Arina Sabalenka. That took 2 sets. Aloyna Bilsova defeated Sorana Seresta. That took 2 sets. Ekaterina Alexandrova defeated Samantha Stosur. That took 3. Naomi Osaka, that's your 1 seed, defeated Victoria Azarenka. That took 3. Another upset, Iga Swiatek defeated 16-seeded Wang Qiang. That took 2 sets. This has literally been a tournament of upsets. And we have another one here as Katerina Siniakova upset 29-seeded Maria Sakkari. That took 3 sets. 8-seeded Ashley Barty defeated Danielle Collins. That took 2 sets. Arina Camelia Begu defeated Carolina Muchova. That took 3. How about this for an interesting result? Sofia Kenin upset 22-seeded Bianca Andreescu. That was a walkover. 15-seeded Belinda Bencic defeated Laura Siegemund. That took 3 sets. 10-seeded Serena Williams defeated Kurumi Nara. That took 2 sets. Another upset, you had Andrea Petkovic upset 25-seeded Hsieh Sui. Monica Puig upset 21-seeded Daria Kasatkina. That took 2 sets. And another upset, Anna Blinkova upset 24-seeded Caroline Garcia. That took 3 sets. And at 1:45 Eastern, you have 14-seeded Madison Keys against Priscilla Hone. Now tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern time, 2-seeded Carolina Pliskova against 31-seeded Petra Martic. We're going to go with Pliskova there. Also at 5 o'clock Eastern, Carlos Suarez Navarro, that's your 28 seed, against Marketa Vondrousova. We're going to go with Suarez Navarro there. 20-seeded Elise Mertens against 12-seeded Anastasia Sevastova. We're going to go with Mertens in the upset. 7 o'clock Eastern time, Veronika Kudermetova against Kaya Kanepi. We're going to go with Kanepi there. Also at 7 o'clock Eastern time, 19-seeded Gabrine Muguruza against 9-seeded Alina Svitolina. We're going to go with Civalina there. 9:30 Eastern Time, Solane Stevens against Polana Hercog. We're going to go with Stevens. 11:30 Eastern Time, 15-seeded Belinda Bencic against 23-seeded Donna Vekic. We're going to go with Vekic in the upset. And then 12 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow afternoon, 26-seeded Johanna Konta against Victoria Kuzmova. We're going to go with another upset. We're going to go with Kuzmova because that feels like the theme of this tournament. Upset after upset after upset. All right, we're going to do my MLB mock draft first. The draft is obviously on Monday. So we're going to do one today, one more tomorrow, and then obviously one more on Monday's podcast. And then I'm going to do a special draft podcast on Monday, going down my list of draft prospects in order, give out comparisons for guys that are in, I guess I'll do the top 25, maybe the top 30. But without further ado, here is my fourth MLB mock draft. 1. Baltimore Orioles. Adley Rutschman, catcher, Oregon State. Rutschman is the heavy favorite to go first overall, according to many people in the industry. He would immediately become the Orioles catcher of the future, and he could get to the big leagues faster than a lot of folks think due to his switch hitting ability, and he provides a lot of power. 2. Kansas City Royals. Bobby Witt Jr., shortstop, Colleyville Heritage High School, Texas. The Royals are a team that wants their top-tier talent to build around in their system. Enter Witt, who's a 5-tool prospect that hits it for a ton of power and projects to be a shortstop long-term and would immediately become the Royals' top prospect. 3. Chicago White Sox. C.J. Abrams, shortstop, Blessed Trinity High School, California. The White Sox have options with this choice. They decided to go with the middle infielder with Abrams, who is one of the best hitters and athletes in this draft. If it doesn't work out for him as a middle infielder, then he can work out in center field. 4. Miami Marlins. Andrew Vaughn, first baseman, California. The Marlins are a team that lacks college position players in their system. Vaughn is arguably the best all-around hitter in this draft, and he could go third to the White Sox or even first to the Orioles. If Vaughn falls here, it's a major win for the Marlins as they finally have a possible franchise player. 5. Detroit Tigers. J.J. Bleday, outfielder, Vanderbilt. Bleday is somebody that scouts thought had some power to go with his bat, and he displayed it this year in college. There is some buzz that this is the direction that the Tigers will go with instead of Riley Green. 6. San Diego Padres. Riley Green, outfielder, Haggerty High School, Florida. Green is the best high school hitter in this draft, and the Padres snag him here. They could go with the college hitter here, but they settle on Green here, who is a below-average defensive player who doesn't bode well for a National League club like the Padres. 7. Cincinnati Reds. Nick Lodolo, lefty, TCU. The Reds have a farm system that's loaded with high school pitchers and hitters, but it lacks collegiate arms. Lodolo is the first pitcher taken off the board as he's the best pitcher in the draft. He's somebody that has 3 good pitches. 8. Texas Rangers. Hunter Bishop, outfielder, Arizona State. The Ranger system lacks college hitters, and they take one here in Bishop. The Orioles apparently like him too, but taking him number 1 overall is a bit of a stretch. Bishop is somebody whose stock has risen from the start of the season to put him in this spot. 9. Atlanta Braves, compensation pick. Corbin Carroll, outfielder, Lakewood High School, California. The Braves have options here with this selection as they can opt for a college arm here. Carroll is somebody that can rake and makes great contact with a nice lefty swing and has a ton of speed that works on offense and defense. 10. San Francisco Giants. Bryson Stott, shortstop, UNLV. The Giants have options here as they tend to go with a highly touted shortstop in Stott. He is the best college infielder in this draft class, and he projects to be an impact hitter with enough defense to stick it short. 11. Toronto Blue Jays. Jackson Rutledge, righty, San Jacinto, Texas. The Jays have some options here at this pick. They go with the high school righty that some people feel is the best one in this draft, and he has shown high velocity and is an analytics darling. 12. New York Mets. Zach Thompson, lefty, Kentucky. Many folks are linking Thompson to the Mets, and it wouldn't be a surprise if that's the choice. If it weren't for injury concerns, he'd go in the top 10 of this draft, but he put together a good season. 13. Minnesota Twins. Shea Langoliers, catcher, Baylor. If it weren't for Adley Rutschman, Langoliers would have been the best catcher in the draft. He doesn't have Rutschman's offensive upside, but he's one of the best defensive catchers of the last decade and is hitting better this spring despite a broken handmate that sidelined him for 3 weeks. 14. Philadelphia Phillies. Alek Manoah, righty, West Virginia. The Phillies have options with this pick as they can go in a number of different directions. Manoah is the best college righty pitcher in the draft, and he's somebody that has improved his walk rate from last year to this year. 15, Los Angeles Angels. Matthew Allen, righty, Seminole High School, Florida. The Angels have drafted a lot of position players in the first round the past few seasons, but this time around they take a high school arm in Allen. Scouts love his curveball and fastball. If he falls par, he may be headed to college rather than the pros. 16, Arizona Diamondbacks. Josh Jung, third baseman, Texas Tech. Jung is somebody that was thought out to be a top 10 or even top 5 pick prior to the season. He's having a down year, but is still producing solid numbers, and he's worth the first-round choice due to his past success. 17, Washington Nationals. George Kirby, righty, Olan. The lack of college arms that are in the first round will push guys like Kirby up boards. He's someone that has a great strike-out walk ratio, and it actually led the country. 18, Pittsburgh Pirates. Quinn Priester, righty, Cary Grove High School, Illinois. After having college position players mocked in the spot, I have the Pirates taking the high school arm in Priester. He's somebody that is one of the faster risers of the spring and has a great curveball. 19, St. Louis Cardinals. Brendan Malone, righty, IMG Academy, Florida. The Cardinals could go in a number of different directions here, whether that could be a high school or collegiate position player, but I have them taking the fast riser in Malone. Malone is somebody that plays 4 good pitchers, and I wouldn't rule him out going in the top 10. 20, Seattle Mariners. Brett Beatty, third baseman, Lake Travis High School, Texas. Beatty is somebody with tremendous upside and possibly could go higher than this. Some scouts believe that he's the best high school hitter and not Riley Green, and he is somebody that has shown to hit for average and power. And there are some teams that, because of his age, won't even touch him in the top 20 because of his age, or have shown the willingness to take a chance. 21, Atlanta Braves. Logan Davidson, shortstop, Clemson. There is a lot of buzz surrounding the Braves and Davidson of late to the fact that this could be the choice. He's a switch-hitting shortstop that plays good defense and runs the bases well, too. 22, Tampa Bay Rays. Cameron Misner, outfielder, Missouri. Misner is the college prospect with the best tools package among college position players. He has a good lefty swing and significant power potential, plus he draws praise for his makeup and work ethic, but there are lingering concerns about his ability to make consistent contact at the upper levels. 23, Colorado Rockies. Will Wilson, shortstop, second baseman, North Carolina State. Wilson is solid across the board with a nice swing, decent pop, and the arm and quickness to potentially land at short long term. He has below average speed, which means he may wind up at second, but he'll likely hit. 24, Cleveland Indians. Michael Busch, first base and outfielder, North Carolina. Busch is someone that is polished and mature, but doesn't have a clear position. He hits for a lot of power, and most people think he's a first baseman. 25, Los Angeles Dodgers. Gunnar Henderson, shortstop, John T. Morgan Academy, Alabama. Henderson is someone whose stock is rising to the point that he's in the conversation for best shortstop in the draft. He can hit at a high rate and has some power that has emerged this year. 26, Arizona Diamondbacks, compensation pick. Daniel Espino, righty, Georgia Premier Academy. With the second of 2 first-round picks, the Diamondbacks go the high school righty with a ton of upside in Espino. He offers plenty of good pitches and has big velocity and spin rate. 27, Chicago Cubs. Cody Host, third baseman, Tulane. The Cubs would love a college arm to follow them, but they settle here on Host. He made some swing changes in the summer last year and then unlocked a natural strength and turned him into a big-time power threat. 28, Milwaukee Brewers. Tyler Callahan, third baseman, Providence High School, Florida. Callahan profile is similar to Brett Beatty due to the fact that he's old for his class. He's somebody else that's worth taking in the first round due to the fact that he can hit. 29, Oakland Athletics. Keone Cavaco, third baseman, Eastlake High School, California. Cavaco is one of the draft's fastest risers as this draft is less than a week away. He has huge raw power and strong defensive profile at the hot corner. 30, New York Yankees. Braden Shoemake, shortstop, Texas A&M. The Yankees decided to go with the college position player in Shoemake. He's a grinder whose whole is greater than the sum of the parts and has outstanding hand-eye coordination and rarely strikes out, and he'll pepper the ball to all fields. 31, Los Angeles Dodgers. J.J. Ghost, righty, Cyper Ranch High School, Texas. Ghost is one of the more underrated high school arms in this class. He's somebody that has raw tools, and he has a great curveball and slider. 32, Houston Astros. Seth Johnson, righty, Campbell. Johnson was a shortstop without much of a bat before transferring to Campbell, where he was moved to the mound full-time. He needs a lot of work because of his relative inexperience on the mound, but if he has one of the liveliest arms in the draft. All right. Now we'll do the NBA mock draft, which is my 5th. 1. New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson, power forward center, Duke. The Pelicans are massive winners for landing the best prospect since LeBron James, but it sucks that Anthony Davis wants out, and so the Pelicans take Zion to build around, assuming Davis leaves. 2. Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant, point guard, Murray State. The Grizzlies are another big winner as they draft their ready-made replacement for Mike Conley and Ja Morant. Many people are skeptical about Morant because he played in the OVC. 3. New York Knicks, RJ Barrett, shooting guard, small forward, Duke. The New York Knicks are not losers in this scenario for dropping the 3. They take somebody who was the preseason top prospect in RJ Barrett, but I think it's more likely than not that they flip this pick for Anthony Davis. 4. Los Angeles Lakers, DeAndre Hunter, small forward, power forward, Virginia. Hunter is somebody that was excellent in Virginia's run to the title. He provides two good-way play. I think that there's a chance that this pick is dealt as well. 5. Cleveland Cavaliers, Jarrett Culver, shooting guard, Texas Tech. Culver had a fantastic year to put himself in this position. He would be an interesting backcourt mate with Colin Sexton. 6. Phoenix Suns, Darius Garland, point guard, Vanderbilt. The Suns were a draft lottery loser, but they fall to 6, where a point guard in Darius Garland may land to them. And that's obviously their biggest need. In the backcourt of Garland and Devin Booker would be interesting. 7. Chicago Bulls, Cody White, point guard, shooting guard, North Carolina. Kobe White's somebody whose stock has risen dramatically to the point where he became the best freshman on North Carolina. This would be an interesting pick, too, because they already have guys like Chris Dunn in their backcourt. 8. Atlanta Hawks, Cam Reddish, small forward, Duke. Reddish was overshadowed, as well as RJ Barrett, because of the presence of Zion. Reddish was on and off throughout the year, but if he lives up to the potential, the Hawks find themselves another piece to build around, along with John Collins and Trae Young. 9. Washington Wizards, Bol Bol, center, Oregon. Bol Bol is the person that I think has the lowest basement but the highest ceiling, and there's no in between with this guy. They need somebody to be great for them immediately, as they could potentially enter or a rebuild, as they could possibly trade away Bradley Beal, or they could pick Bol Bol here and build around him and Bradley Beal and keep Beal. Unfortunately, they're stuck with that disastrous John Wall contract. 10. Atlanta Hawks from the Dallas Mavericks, Jackson Hayes, center, Texas. Hayes is somebody that was a late bloomer in high school and played well in Texas. He would be an interesting front court mate with John Collins in Atlanta. 11. Minnesota Timberwolves, Brandon Clark, power forward, Gonzaga. The first of 2 Gonzaga players come off the board here with Clark. He is somebody that analytic people would like because of his PER. 12. Charlotte Hornets, Sekou Doumbouya, wing, France. Doumbouya is somebody that played very well overseas on both ends, but I think is a work in progress when he comes to the league, especially on the defensive side of things. I think he's somebody that could see some time in the G League. 13. Miami Heat, Romeo Langford, shooting guard, Indiana. Langford was a projected top 5 lottery pick before the year, but knee injuries really cost this kid. If he lives up to the potential, the Heat got themselves a steal. 14. Boston Celtics from the Sacramento Kings via the 76ers. P.J. Washington, power forward, Kentucky. The Celtics are a team with some options regarding this pick, as they could trade it in their search for a superstar, or they could just pick the best player available. Washington really showed some strides in college this past season, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's the last pick chosen in the lottery. 15. Detroit Pistons, Kevin Porter Jr., shooting guard, USC. Porter's somebody whose stock is rising. Wouldn't be surprised if he's a lottery pick. The Pistons need shooters on the perimeter, and Porter is somebody that if he can find his jump shot, that this would be a solid pick. 16. Orlando Magic, Nasir Little, small forward, North Carolina. Little is somebody who had an uneven year in North Carolina to the point where Kobe White supplanted him as the best freshman on the team. This was another kid that was supposed to be the top 5 lottery pick, but he had a disappointing year in North Carolina. If he lives up to expectations, then the Magic got themselves a steal. 17, Brooklyn Nets. Rui Hachimura, small forward, Gonzaga. The Nets have their first round pick for the first time in ages, and they take somebody with lottery talent here in Hachimura. He really took his game up a level this past year at Gonzaga, and he would fit nicely with that core in Brooklyn. 18, Indiana Pacers, KZ Okpala, small forward, Stanford. Okpala's stock is rising because of his length and wingspan. The Pacers are a team that can use more wing depth with Victor Oladipo returning from the Achilles injury and Bojan Bogdanovic potentially leaving in free agency. 19, San Antonio Spurs, Keldon Johnson, small forward, shooting guard, Kentucky. The Spurs are a team that's full of guards and full of big men. They need more wings, and Johnson would come in and learn right away from a team that's notoriously known for developing very well. 20, Boston Celtics from the Los Angeles Clippers, Goga Batazi, center, Serbia. The Celtics are a team that wants more size. Bazadi, although there's skepticism because he played overseas, is creative, terrific in traffic, and his mid-range game is really good, and he's a strong force in the post. 21, Oklahoma City Thunder. Tyler Herro, shooting guard, Kentucky. The Thunder are getting themselves a mega steal here with Herro. He's somebody that can flat out shoot the ball and could be a valuable bench piece for Billy Donovan immediately. 22, Boston Celtics. Talen Horton-Tucker, shooting guard, small forward, Iowa State. Horton-Tucker is somebody that had a good year with the Cyclones this past year as a freshman, which got him to the spot. The Celtics are a team with 3 first-rounders that can afford to take chances on overachievers, and Horton-Tucker would be somebody that would provide solid minutes for them. 23, Utah Jazz. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, shooting guard, Virginia Tech. The Jazz are getting themselves a steal here with Alexander Walker. He can guard multiple positions and play on and off the ball, and the Jazz could use someone with wing depth, or that provides wing depth off the bench. 24, Philadelphia 76ers. Cameron Johnson, small forward, North Carolina. Johnson is somebody that was a very steady player in college for the Tar Heels. He's someone that can defend pretty well and shoot the three ball well. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes higher than this or he goes in the second round. 25, Portland Trailblazers. Grant Williams, power forward, Tennessee. Williams, the 2-time SEC Player of the Year, ends up in the area where he should be picked. He's someone who's not an athlete or has a good perimeter game, but he could score in the post and could adjust to the league better than people think. 26, Cleveland Cavaliers from the Houston Rockets. Lucas Simonik, power forward, Olympia. Simonik had a great showing at the Combine and played his way into the first-round territory, showcasing his offensive versatility and an improved physique that bodes well for the growth of his game. He's an ideal stretch 4 with his skill level and size, and didn't look bad moving his feet defensively either. 27, Brooklyn Nets from the Denver Nuggets. Carson Edwards, point guard, Purdue. After a fantastic tournament, Edwards' stock has risen very much. He's someone that can score and shoot it from 3. He's more suited for a bench role, although the Nets could use some more point guard depth if they don't bring back D'Angelo Russell. 28, Golden State Warriors. The Gwen Stewart, point guard, shooting guard, Arizona State. Stewart is somebody that had a solid freshman season and lived up to his top 50 ranking he was given for his class. He's somebody that is versatile and could guard both guard positions well. 29, San Antonio Spurs from the Toronto Raptors. Matisse Thybulle, small forward, Washington. Thybulle is somebody who was curiously left off the NBA Combine list, but has the talent to be a first-round pick. He's somebody that showed fine two-way play with solid three-point shooting and great defensive instincts. 30, Milwaukee Bucks. Daniel Gafford, center, Arkansas. Gafford is someone that could have been drafted last year but decided to come back to school for his sophomore year. He has tantalizing upside and is somebody that, if the Bucks were to take, would make a possible immediate contribution, especially if Brook Lopez bolts this summer. Before I get to my best bet, I want to talk about the Women's College World Series, which begins tonight. You have underway right now Arizona and Washington. This is the double elimination round. I'm going to take Washington here because they're the better team. They pitch well, although I wouldn't rule out Arizona here anyway. 2:30 ESPN, Minnesota and UCLA. These are two pretty good teams. Minnesota 46-12 on the season, 20-2 in Big Ten play. And on the other side, you have UCLA 51-6 and then 20-4 in Pac-12 play. We're going to go with UCLA. And that one, by the way, Washington 15-7 on the year, 20-4 in Pac-12, and Arizona 47-12 on the season and 19-5 in Pac-12. So Washington and UCLA. 7 o'clock ESPN2, you have Oklahoma State and Florida. Oklahoma State 44-15 on the year, 13-5 in Big 12 play, and Florida 49-16 on the year, 12-12 in SEC play. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State here because they feel like, to me, that they're the better team, and they haven't been here in a while, and I just think it's their time to shine. And Alabama and Oklahoma, Bama 57-8 on the year, 18-6 in the SEC play. Oklahoma 54-3 on the year, 18-0 in conference play. Oklahoma is arguably the best team in this tournament. They're your 1 seed. I think they're going to get it done tonight against the Crimson Tide. That's 9:30 on ESPN2, and we'll pick the games that will take place tomorrow night on tomorrow's podcast. And before I go, I'm going to do my best bet of the day, sponsored by DraftKings. There's a lot of things to choose from today. I'm going to go with the Warriors on this because they're just really good in game ones, as we know. So that's just the easy choice there. And they're plus 107, by the way. So that's a steal in my mind. We're going to go with the Rockies. We're going to go with the Red Sox over the Yanks because Chris Sale's pitching a lot better. Charlie Morton and the Rays over the Twins. Mike Minor and the Rangers over Jacob Junis and the Royals. Let's go with the Indians over the White Sox. That's Carlos Carrasco against Manny Banuelos. And then we'll go with the Dodgers and Heijun Ryu over Jason Vargas and the New York Mets. So that's about 34-1, wagering $1, payout of $35.03. That's it for the podcast today. I'll be back tomorrow morning going over everything from college baseball, women's softball, my bad, and the NBA Finals, baseball. We're going to pick everything throughout the weekend, and obviously my best bet too. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.